This is the Corvette ZR1 by Chevrolet, reproduced by Auto Art Models. And this is the yellow color. And I chose to review this color as opposed to the orange, which this car is mostly known for, because that was the color that was introduced to the public initially. It's because this yellow harkens back to the Le Mans or 24-hour Daytona race car. So that's the reason why I chose to review this color. And I think it's quite beautiful. This does come from Auto Art's composite series. So if you're familiar with the composite series, instead of using metal die cast, they are using an ABS material. Some may associate ABS as being plastic, which is a fairly accurate description of exactly what this material is. This model is a fully opening model, so all the parts do open. But let's go over the overall shape. Of course, is really good. There's no complaints at all at that. The first thing that really stood out for me for this model are the wheels. These wheels on this model are outstanding. The wheel and tire combination is absolutely stunning. I like the way the blue calipers contrast with the rest of the car. I think it was a very nice color choice. And there is a lot of details here. Not only do you have this really nice wheel package, but you also have it where the scripting is on the tires. There is a valve stem, and again, I love that contrast of that very complete caliper. Moving to the front of the model, you do have these very, very well done heat exchangers throughout. You have this very nice perforated grille. The lights, oh my goodness, these look very much like the real deal. There are no complaints at all. I can't see how any other model company could have made those even better. Very nice prominent Corvette emblem in the front. It's very clear and concise. Moving on to the back of the model. Again, here you see very nice done light detail, very accurate to the real thing. You have the prominent 4 or quad exhaust here. It is not a fully hollow piece, but it's deep enough that it's acceptable as the way it is. There are these vents here. On the real car, these are true vents. On this model, they are not. These vents below are, so you can actually see through those. So that is a true vent. Just something to point out. Throughout this model, you do have the carbon fiber pieces everywhere. And there are 2 methods that I've noticed with model companies when it comes to carbon fiber. You have the one where it is a printed decal that is then layered with a clear coat. This is what I would call the Barago effect. I've mentioned this several times with other models, and this is where you have more of a plastic that actually has a pattern etched in to mimic carbon fiber. So that's what we have here with this car. As I mentioned, this is a fully opening model, so everything does open. And there you are, fully opened. Now let's take a closer look. Just starting with the center console, you can see that sat nav with that clear Chevrolet Corvette emblem. The shifter itself is true to scale. And the one thing I really do like about Auto Art interior trims is just how clean they are and very consistent from model to model. The defined foot pedals, which are probably a little exaggerated, but again, just very crisp. The carbon fiber at the bottom of the steering wheel.
air conditioning vent. It has a 3D look to it because of how it's cut in. Just move over a little bit, you can see that a little bit more. And just the trim itself, again, just very clean, very consistent. If you look at the carpeting, you do have flocked carpeting, so it does look realistic. Just move this over a little bit. The seats, very well done. Again, you have that Chevrolet emblem, or Corvette rather. The seat belt is a stitched piece, which is really nice, and you have a photo etched buckle as well. That armrest looks soft, which is really good. You can see the different textures on the seat. If you look further down, you'll see there we go, the Corvette door sill, which is really nice and defined. And then if you go to the other side, again, here's this beautiful steering wheel with the carbon fiber at the top and bottom of the rim. The dashboard is very, very good. You can see the dials and the needles, which is really nice. Passenger seat, driver's seat, very consistent. And the door card looks like it has almost all the trimmings of the real car. In the engine bay, you really can't see much because of this large intake that's on top of the supercharger, unfortunately. Now, this is a carbon fiber piece, but it'd be really great if that was removable. Unfortunately, it's not. So this is all we have. But it also has very well defined information on the fluid caps. So you have there the window washers, power steering fluid and such. But it's really all that you can really see here. So it's a very basic interior, or engine bay rather. The hinges on the hood or boot are very sturdy. No concern about those ever being loose or breaking. Here's a closer look at that carbon fiber trim. As I said, it is a nice effect. It is a different way of doing the carbon fiber that you've seen with other models like the Baragos. That's where that comes from. I guess it's just a matter of taste and preference if you like this type of trim. There's more on that. And this vent here, again, nicely trimmed around carbon fiber. If you notice that pattern in there, that's actually supposed to be a photo etched vent. In this case, it is a solid piece. But it is very nice. Okay. In the back, you do have the trim, which is really nice. You have flocking to imitate the carpeting, and again, the hinges on the back compartment door is very sturdy as well. I really do like the shocks that they use on this to keep everything in place.
Before I begin my conclusions, I just want to thank Past Steiners. They were able to supply me with this model ahead of time before most retailers. If you were to go on eBay right now, Most, if not all, the retailers have this on pre-sale. So I'm not sure exactly how he was able to accomplish that, but I do appreciate it. If you are interested in this model, he does have a few of these in supply. That is pasteiners.com. Now to my conclusions. This model is excellent. I was very happy. This was a great way for AutoArt to produce the very last of the C7 Corvette. It is the very best one that was ever made with its high horsepower. The composite material that was used for this model was a great choice. It definitely brought out the lines very close to how the real car is. The shut lines are fantastic. The other thing is those hinges for the opening parts. I had no fear, like I did with the earlier composite models from AutoArt, of breaking. This model does not feel delicate. It does feel like a very strong model, so that is a huge plus. The interior, excellent. AutoArt has some of the best interiors going for any type of fully opening model. Some of the negatives. The engine was detailed, but a lot of it was basically a molded piece, and the fact that you could not remove that air scoop or I don't know what you call it, but whatever you call it, you couldn't remove it, so you couldn't see anything underneath it. It'd been nice to see that supercharger with the supercharger belt. You missed all of that, and I definitely think that was a cost-saving measure, and it's reflected in the price, which we'll get into in a second. The second thing is more subjective, which would be that carbon fiber. As I mentioned, it is I think a cost-efficient way for companies to produce that carbon fiber. It does look great, but when you compare it to some of the other model makers who do the print with the clear coat on top, I definitely think that version looks better. AutoArt does have some models that do have that secondary way that I'm referring to, where again they're using a print and then they do a clear coat over it. It looks a lot more like the real thing when it comes to carbon fiber. So again, I think that was done for cost savings. It's far easier just to produce a mold with some print in it, or basically a mold with that pattern in it, versus doing the clear coat. So I definitely think that was a cost savings, which brings me to the price. Most of the supercars, and I would consider this one a supercar just because of the added details, AutoArts usually are priced over $200. The Aventadors, for example, those are as high as $250 US. This model comes in under $200 US. You can find these for about $195 US. So these are basically at the average price of a fully opening model, which is scary when you think about it. But yeah, we're roughly around almost $200 when it comes to a good detailed fully opening model. So that is something to consider. If you're into values, because I know that some of you are, in giving this the $3 signs, again, for the reasons that I mentioned, this is the very last of the C7s, and it's the very best of the C7s. The actual cars were limited. They were only out for a couple of years, I believe. And this model, no, AutoArt doesn't specify it's a limited edition, but they only make so many of a particular model, and once those are gone, they're gone. It does come in several colors. I picked the yellow, as I mentioned, because, well, the heritage behind it. This is probably, if not the second to last video I'll do for 2023. I do appreciate all of you guys watching and participating in the comments. I really do appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you next time. See you next time.